My guest this evening is James Horak, and we're going to be talking about a very real incident. I'm going to show you video of May the 11th, 2011, Fort Worth, Texas. This video, let me describe it for you. This is a shot from downtown Fort Worth looking to the north. Now, for those of you who don't know, you've heard about the Trinity River because of Dallas, and you're familiar with that, all that Dallas stuff because of the Kennedy assassination. But the Trinity River has two forks, East Fork and West Fork. And then down below Dallas and Fort Worth, it joins into one river. So this would be the West Fork of the Trinity River. You start down into the bottom, and what we're seeing are bright flashes of light, very bright. I asked you, Mr. Horak, what do you think this is? And you proceeded to tell me.
Yes.
Something strange happened. The more I looked at this video, the more convinced I became that what you told me had to be correct. This is awesome. What time of night is this?
It was within 10 or 15 minutes of 9 o'clock because I was coming home from a popular place in Fort Worth called the Smoke Pit. I wasn't feeling real well. That's one reason why I walked outside and left early and then got my truck and I pulled out. I would say I had gone 6 blocks when it started. And it started up, and by the time I got about 2 miles away, I just pulled over because it was almost possible to drive. When these would go off, they'd be blinding. And just watched it. It went on for some time. If you were very close to it, you didn't hear anything.
How do you know that?
I was under this stuff. I mean, I was on my way home when it started.
And you say there was no sound?
No. It was impressive, especially when you're under them. I could see what they were.
You say you could see what they were. What did you see?
Craft. They were craft. High up, there were the big ones, the 90 feet in diameter. Down at tree level, the ones that were going off were the 60 feet in diameter. When some of those flashes were going off, you looked straight up, you could see the larger craft very easily. And they were up there. They were 400 to 1,000 feet up there. And they took off. They left the premises very, very quickly after about the third or fourth of the smaller craft disintegrated.
And there's a bunch of these. How many would you say you saw?
I wasn't expecting to see so many. That surprised me, but I've seen this sort of thing before. There were 3 or 4 big ones that were high, and then the ones above the treetop, probably 9. They were EB craft, because I've seen them many times.
All right, now when you say EB craft, explain what EB are.
Extra biological entities. Some people call them the Greys. They're not sentient. They're just automaton-type critters. I describe them unflatteringly as chunks of meat sewn together with a computer terminal, because I am not enamored of them at all. They're the ones that work with military intelligence to do harm to people.
Now, how do you know these are EB craft? How do you know this is extraterrestrial biological entities, Greys? How do you know that?
Well, over my lifetime, I've experienced these things around, and when they come around, I get a certain kind of buzzing in my head that I don't attribute to ET craft. But the EB craft I do, and that has something to do with what their drive is or how they propel themselves. And it's gravity wave attenuation. I'm very sensitive to changes in gravity wave, and I have a kind of a buzzing. And that I've learned to associate that with EV craft. It's kind of my warning system. Every time that it happened, it was about just above the trees. The big explosions that you see, the really big ones, may have had a reaction that lasted over a larger period of time, but they were disintegrating. Just standing by my van watching it, and it went on for well over 20 minutes. I just waited for it to stop before I left. And when I was down there, I didn't see anybody around me pulled over watching it or anything. And it was like being a lone spectator. When I got up to one of the busy streets, the police seemed to have cordoned the area off. That's the first time I even saw the police. I didn't see the police down in the river bottom there. And I think there's been a cover-up of this. Well, the next day I went out where all this took place. I drove around an area of probably 3 or 4 square miles, and I didn't see any indication of anything at all. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No smell, no nothing. Those down low, the 60-foot diameter craft are being annihilated. They're actually losing their field energy. If they were in my view, they didn't ascend or get away. They're the ones who work with military intelligence to do harm to people. Shouldn't have been there. They were intruding. This would definitely be a battle. The choice of the site, it was picked because it was remote and there weren't homes there.
So what's going on?
They were where they shouldn't be, and so they were vaporized.
And who knew and was vaporizing them?
Me.